Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much. This is week 3 now of me talking to you guys about recruitment. Sorry, my dog is out of a crate and she's very loud. For those of you know, Kobe is wandering around my office. So if you haven't watched weeks 1 and 2, I strongly recommend that you do, because it gives you a great foundation in terms of the advice and guidance that I'm going to be giving you. So week 1, we were talking about the commonmost challenges that businesses go through and the commonmost challenges that I hear businesses talking about. Then last week, we were talking about company culture, vision for your future, and really how to create that as a great foundation. And then this week, I'm going to be talking to you about AI and how this really starts to weave into everything that you do within the recruitment process. I really want to demystify and debunk some of the kind of ways that people treat AI and the way that people think about AI. You know, we've gone through this huge transition of technology over the last few years, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger all the time. Like the training that I've been doing over the last few weeks will change again in the next few weeks, because technology is something that has really got a life of its own, but it's not something to be scared about. So when it came to kind of recruitment, maybe 10 years ago, we used to put a job description together, stick it out in jobstoday.co.uk, and we used to get an influx of candidates coming through the door. Whereas now we have to really think about, how will a candidate perceive that job description? How will we be able to put down information that's attractive to someone reading that? And it's a whole new skill in itself. And this is where AI comes in. I love using AI because I'm severely dyslexic. I can write something and it reads perfect to me, but somebody else can pick it up and be like, what have you just written? There's words missing out, words are in the wrong place, you spelt things wrong. You know, thank God for spell check. I love using AI because it helps me become a better version of myself when I'm at work, when I'm trying to get my message across. How I talk now doesn't necessarily come across in the way that I word things as a disconnect. There's also a huge disconnect in terms of how people use AI and how people perceive how helpful it actually is. So I'm just going to pull up some notes to make sure that I'm staying on the right track with everything. So AI for businesses, there's a really big fear of the unknown when we don't understand something. And I feel like that's one of the biggest takeaways about this, is that when we don't understand something, we try and avoid it. And our subconscious will naturally, because that's what our subconscious is there to do, is to keep us safe. So when we don't understand something, we will make every excuse not to use it. But what I've really done over the last few months is invested into learning how AI actually works. And I've done a lot of work on, unknowingly, and I didn't know that I was doing this at the time, but because I've pivoted in my business, I've changed how I present myself on LinkedIn. So I was doing a lot of training on LinkedIn. It was giving me a lot of prompts for ChatGPT, which I never thought about before. And this is why I want to share this information with you, because now that I've started to use those prompts, it's really changed the relationship that I've got when I use AI. Now, AI is not here to replace anyone. It's not here to take away your job. What it is here to do is make your job easier. My zone of genius is coaching. It's helping businesses grow. All the other admin that comes with my job, I don't care for. And one of the ways that I get through the chunk of admin that I've got is I start to use AI. So what it really does is it lets me get on with stuff that I'm good at. And it lets me delegate the things that I don't necessarily have to be investing my time into. AI will never be able to train in the way that I train. AI will never be able to have a conversation with someone the way that I'm having a conversation with, because that's authentic to my personality. But there are things that I use AI with on a daily basis that really help do my day-to-day job. So In terms of you using AI within recruitment, so if you want to if you just kind of picking up the replays now, have a listen to last week's replay. You can find it on my profile. But basically, that is all around creating your vision for your future, core values, company culture. Now, how we're going to intertwine that into this week is we're going to layer up that process. So I want to talk about how to write a job description with ChatGPT. And I want to kind of give you some prompts. I would encourage you to watch this a couple of times or pause it when you feel that you need to, so you can take a note of these prompts as well. And then what we're going to do is layer up the information that we had last week, and we're going to add it into the job description for this week. So when I used to use ChatGPT before, I never paid for it. I would always get to a point where ChatGPT were like, you've used enough information now. And when I started to invest into it, I started to get better results. Now, that's because the software is set up on different levels. It's set up on quite a generic level when you just use it as a free resource. I now pay for ChatGPT. It's $20 a month. I get better responses from it, but I'm also being more intuitive with the system as well. Now, if you don't want to use ChatGPT, if you go onto Bing, there's like a little blue ribbon at the top. And if you click on that, it's another version of ChatGPT. It's called Copilot. I find that ChatGPT can be a little salesy when you're asking it to create content, but with Copilot, I find it's a little bit more softer and a little bit more emotional, which you can get that out of AI. So there's two different versions that you could potentially use. Anything apart from that, I really don't have any experience in, but I feel like ChatGPT is a great way to start understanding how the actual platform works. So when it comes to a job description, job descriptions and advertisements are two different things. A job description is what the actual role does. An advertisement is something to attract candidates into your space. So when it comes to job descriptions, what I would recommend for you to do, now, if this is a role that you've already got within the business, I would strongly encourage you to kind of brain dump everything onto a Word document first and foremost. Because what I've done a couple of times with ChatGPT is I've hit return, trying to do a space underneath, and then it started to generate some information. So I do everything on a Word document or OneNote or a notepad on your laptop, whichever works best for you. If you have someone doing that role already and you haven't revisited this particular job description in a while, great exercise for you to do is get the person that's doing the job or someone that has a really good understanding of what that role is to write down every single day the different elements of what that role entails, so that by the end of that, you've got a document of every intricate bits of information that that actual role does on a day-to-day basis. Then what we're going to do is put this through ChatGPT. So first and foremost, to tidy this up, is we're going to put it through ChatGPT and ask it. Another thing that I want to kind of mention here is I speak to ChatGPT like a person, like I'm speaking to you now. So I'll ask it how it is. I'll put, hi, ChatGPT, hope you're well. And I'll put, hi, Leanne, hope you're okay. What can I do for you today? And I will say either I'm looking to create a post on LinkedIn, or I'm looking to create a document for a client, or I'm looking to create X, Y, or Z. And it's like, okay, no worries, send me the information. Now, the disconnect that I used to do before is just copy and paste stuff into it. When you give it direction, it listens and it provides you with as many different versions of that information as you need. So when I would copy and paste something into it, for example, the job description on the Word document that you've just kind of done a bit of a brain dump on, what I would do is I'd ask it to take out all the fluff that doesn't need to be in there, present this in a way that a 12-year-old could understand it, because we learn at a certain level. You know, if you've got two people that have been to university and they're both doing PhDs and they're both geniuses and they're writing a job description, it will be very different to someone that's doing an administration role. It's two different levels. So when we ask ChatGPT to present it in the way that a 12-year-old can understand it, it's making sure that we are able to absorb and understand the information at any level. So we're taking out the fluff, we're making it in the way that a 12-year-old can understand it. Then we can get clever with it. And we're going to build on this until we've got a full job description and a full job advertisement. So then we can ask it to add more emotion into it. We can ask ChatGPT to add more personality to it. Now, go over last week, we talked about personality testing and the different personalities in your business, company culture. We're going to add that information into it as well. If you want more of a corporate style, you can ask it to be more corporate. If you would like a shorter version or a longer version, if you would like a more abbreviated version. Also, as well, going back to last week, is make sure that you add the company website into it. Make sure that you feed it with relevant information in terms of who you are as a business. So that once you are starting to play around with this part of the job description, you can be very direct in terms of this is who we are as a business, add your company website. This is the personality of the team, add that into there as well. This is the main bulk of the job description. Now, can you write me 2 or 3 different versions of this that have emotion, that appeal to, and you could write something in the form of extrovert, introverts. Really have a play about with what those paragraphs look like until you get to a point where you're happy with the job description. Also, as well, what you can do is you can ask the software to merge 2 copies. You might like version 1 and 2. Oh, can you not hear what I'm saying? I've just had a comment to say that the video gets stuck the whole time. Let me know if that's true. Yeah, so you can ask it to create 2 merged versions of that job description and ask it to present that in a way that will be speaking to your ideal avatar of a candidate. Now, what we're going to do on the next part of this is we're going to add in the vision for your organization. We're going to add in the company culture. We're going to add in your core values. We're going to add in currently working on a video. We're going to add in your benefits. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. We're going to add in the benefits. And then what we're going to do with ChatGPT is ask it to create a 1-page document that tells a story, that presents you as an employer of choice, that is appealing, that is going to be attractive to someone reading it that wants to join your organization. And then have a play about with the different versions that ChatGPT gives to you. Now, when it comes to a job description, one of the most common things that I see a business doing is just advertising one job. And it might be like an administrator, a sales representative, it might be an office manager, director, whatever that looks like. What we can do now that we've got a copy of this job description is we can ask ChatGPT to create 3 different versions of what that job title is. So, for example, if you've got a sales role, it might be a sales executive, it might be a sales advisor, it might be a new business sales executive. And there's a reason why we're going to do this. So ask ChatGPT to create 10 different job titles of the role that you're wanting to recruit for. Select the 3 that are most relevant. And now you've got 3 different job descriptions with 3 different job titles. They're all the same job. But this will maximize the amount of candidates that you want to recruit for your business. And the reason why we do this is not just one job description is not going to be for one person. We want to speak to different demographics of people. And also as well, this is really, if you're just new to starting doing recruitment, if you're new to revamping your job descriptions, if you're new to AI, you can maybe have a professional one, you can have a corporate one, you could even do one from a Yorkshire-based business. I've worked with businesses in Yorkshire before that were attracting corporate candidates and they were really down to earth. And we created job descriptions that were in the voice and tone of someone from Yorkshire, so really tune this in as to who you are as a business and be very specific and clear in terms of the instructions that you give ChatGPT. Now, what you can do then, I'll go back to what we were mentioning before, is you might have a professional version, you might have a more down-to-earth version, you might have an extrovert or an introvert version of all these different job descriptions, because what we want to do then is to measure the results that come in so that the next time that you recruit, you can reverse engineer your recruitment process a little bit more specifically. Now, what I mean by that is, out of all the adverts that you have put out, measure the candidates that come in, the quality of them. And then what we can do in terms of reverse engineer is have a look at the volume of candidates that came in, the suitability of the candidates, did they have the right skills and experience? Yeah, I'm sorry that the video is not working for you. Other people said it's fine. So what you might have to do is once the video finishes, and I'll be finished in 15 minutes, is you'll be able to watch it straight away. But if you DM me and you want a copy of it, just let me know. And then you can measure the quality and the quantity that comes through the process, so that you might have one job title didn't bring any adverts in at all, but another job title brought 10 candidates in, 5 of them were really good. So you could really play about with job descriptions, job titles, so that you get to a point where recruitment starts to be proactive instead of reactive, and you're measuring the results that are coming through the process. Okay, so that is job descriptions that we've gone through. Does that make sense in terms of what I've gone through? Also, as well, one other thing is when you create in job descriptions, and you might have company jargon in there, ask ChatGPT to take anything out that's specific to your business, purely for the fact that no one's going to understand company jargon that doesn't come from your organization. And going back to have this in a way that a 12-year-old can understand it, please take out any of the company jargon that doesn't need to be there. I'm just reading through my notes as I'm going through this to make sure that I'm giving you all of the information. And also as well, don't get frustrated when it might not produce the results that you require, because if you're using a free version of ChatGPT, it's going to give you different results as to when you invest into that. And I think when you invest into it, it's a subscription. You can cancel it at any time. So I feel for me that investing into something to get better results out of it is going to save you money in the long run. Also, as well, when we want to create some form of a job description, that can take quite a lot of your time, especially if you're doing other stuff. So lean on AI to be able to create information like that, and it'll take you seconds. Okay, so I'm going to have a look at interview questions now, and how you can use AI to create interview questions that are in alignment with the job description that you've just created. Now, job descriptions and interview questions, the two need to sync up. If you've got interview questions that were created a few years ago that are competency questions that are like, can you tell me about a time when you've worked in a team? Can you tell me about a time when you've overcome a difficult situation? I used to work at Empower years ago, and I can still remember every single competency-based question because I said them that many times. But I was able to write people's answers out because the questions were so predictable. Let me just grab a quick drink, 1 second. So what we want to be able to do is create questions that really dig into someone's personality. I don't want to be able to create questions that I can predict the answer to, and that a candidate can just provide me an answer with from the top of the head. I want to be able to engage with them. I want to be able to have a conversation with them. And there's a really great way of doing that with AI. So with the job description that you've got, I kind of do this on a Word document first, just so you can have a play about with the wording. But what you can do with the job description is start it off with, hey, ChatGPT, I would love some help with creating some interview questions. Here's the job description that we created earlier. Our business is whatever you want to put into there. So outgoing, motivated, got quite a loud team in here. We've got quite a quiet team in here. People work remotely. People work hybrid roles. We have a lot of development within the organization. So there's a big emphasis on training. We're really keen on retention as well. Provide it with as much information in terms of who you are and as an organization, so that this can be reflected in the questions. And then what we're going to do is, hey, ChatGPT, can you provide me some interview questions based on this? This is either a first stage or a second stage interview. We don't really need any more than 2-stage interviews. Any more than that is overkill. So tell it which stage of the interview that you're at. And I would like to create, you can do competency-based questions, you can do informal questions, you can do formal questions, but I would like to create 15 interview questions based on this job description that will enable a candidate to demonstrate who they are, how they can add impact to this business, and how I can get to know them on a deeper level. And you can use a STAR method in there if you want. You can use all kinds of different variations, but I stick to a competency-based interview because it's you asking a question. They have to provide an example. But again, play about with the answers that you get with this. And this will create you interview questions within seconds. Now, what I would also ask it to do as well is ask it to provide you with multiple different versions of these questions, just so that you can see what different examples it's kind of providing. And you can pick and choose which questions that you like. I suggest that you use all kind of like 3 different sets of interview questions. And the reason for that is that you will try to get a sense in terms of which interviews are landing, which you're getting the better responses out of, so that when you are interviewing a candidate, you know exactly which questions you're going to use, you know exactly which set of questions are going to get you the best answers. And you also as well, you know, interviewing doesn't have to be such a gruesome and a rigorous process. You want this to be a fun experience for someone. You want it to be a light-hearted conversation that still gets you the answers that you're looking for, so you can really navigate ChatGPT to be able to provide you with that information as well. So you could say, right, I like what you've given me, but I want to make it light-hearted. I like what you've given me, but I want to be able to dig in deeper with these questions. I like what you've provided on interview questions 1 and 2. Can we have a combination of both of them? It'll do it within seconds. And these questions are aligned to the job description. You know, what I find is a massive disconnect in terms of these are the interview questions that we've got. These are what we've always used. Are they relevant to the job? Because someone can send a CV in, they can walk the walk, can they talk the talk. So when we align the questions with the job description, we're making sure that people are answering questions that are relevant to the role. Now, we could also have some questions in here in terms of your company culture. Now, because you've added this information in, and again, if you need that information, have a look on last week. But we could also ask some questions in there in terms of, can we create 2 or 3 questions that align with my company culture, just to get a sense of how that person will actually fit in. Now, the work that I do with businesses makes sure that when we get to this stage of an interview, we're not telling people about who we are as a business or the company culture because we've written it 5 or 6 different times. But what we can do is incorporate some questions into it to make sure that that person has read the information, and to make sure that that person does feel comfortable that they would fit into that type of company culture. Now, when it comes to like training, development, and retention, you can also ask ChatGPT to ask a couple of questions at the end to make sure that you are going through certain elements of training and development. And to kind of, what we don't want to be doing really in interviews is asking questions that people can answer yes or no to. So you could really be clear with that with ChatGPT and ask it to specifically create questions that people have to answer, as opposed to moving away from yes or no answers within that as well. I'm just going to have a little look at my notes. Okay, final thing with this before we wrap it up is I want to talk about social media and how to use AI on social media, because again, this is another great way of using this within your recruitment process. I see a lot of businesses shying away from social media because they don't know what to post, they don't know what information to create, and some organizations that I work with don't even have social media. So again, it's another stumbling block of, oh shit, we have to set up this, and then we have to create this, and then we have to do that. Simon, I'll come back to you in a second. So when we are coming to creating content for recruitment, what we could do is have a look at the job that we've created. So we might have created this job description, and now we don't just want to advertise it on Indeed or CV Library or whichever job platform that you're using. We want to be able to get this out onto LinkedIn. How do you do that? Okay, so we could create 3 different posts in terms of that one job. So on Monday, we could create a post with a hook. Now, if you don't know what a hook is on LinkedIn, when you're writing a post, you write one line at the top, you leave some white space, and then you've got the bulk of the message underneath, so that when someone sees this post, they see one line and then they see somebody else's post afterwards. So when that one line hook at the top, someone will see it and then more inclined to click on the post. So what you would do is ask ChatGPT to create 3 hooks for the week, and you could have something like new job come in, post coming on Wednesday. So someone clicks on this and then they see you could be putting more information in terms of this is who we are as a business. This is the vision for the organization. We've got a new job coming out on Wednesday. Tag people that are looking for roles within Sheffield, within Leeds, just to start getting some momentum on the post. And you can also use ChatGPT for this. So you could say, ChatGPT, can you please create me 3 posts, all that have a hook about the job description that we've created? So we want to be able to create one post that says new job coming Wednesday. The post for Wednesday is new job alert. Create that hook. And then the post on Friday could be something in the way of new job alert, click here for more information. But it will layer up the content that you've got. So post 1 on Monday could have your careers page on there, so people start to navigate to your careers page. Post 2 could be more information about the role. So you could speak to ChatGPT with the job description that you've created, ask it to create a LinkedIn friendly job description, and then add a link to your company website or wherever the job's advertised. And then what you could do on the Friday, good idea actually, is a referral scheme. So we've got a role, we've got a referral scheme, click here for more information. So you've created 3 different posts within ChatGPT with people navigating to your careers pages, which is another great way of not having to rely on job platforms as well. Simon, your question, if you're using these custom questions to interview, if this is online, how do you know they aren't using ChatGPT to create the answers? I would be having a face-to-face conversation with someone. I wouldn't be kind of doing an interview online where people have to type answers. For me, an interview is a 2-way conversation. So I'm asking questions, they're giving me an answer. I want to see the whites of their eyes when I'm having a conversation. I would never interview based on someone typing information into a chat. Now, some businesses might do that. I personally wouldn't, because if I'm advertising for a role and we're going through this whole process, I want to be able to have a conversation with someone. First question is to ask if they are familiar with TikTok. I don't use TikTok. I have it. I find it sucks my soul into a deep and dark place on the weird and wonderful internet. So yeah, I mean, I don't do what you could do with this actually, Simon, is okay. If you are doing things purely online and you're not speaking to people face to face, maybe you could have a situation where they have to record an answer on their phone, or they do it online, or you have some form of a link where they can record a 2-minute answer, as opposed to them kind of typing the information out. I'd just be very skeptical about doing interviewing in that kind of a way. Like, if you want to pick it up on another conversation, we can do, or you can ask me a question on here, that's no problem at all. In what context and what kind of positions are you advertising and speaking to people about as well? So yeah, that's 3 different ways of being able to use ChatGPT for job descriptions, for aligned interview questions, and also how to create content on social media. With AI as well, and I'm going to be going through this in later lives that I'm doing, I'm going to be talking about employer branding and how to create content easily on AI. But with that, you can create a month's worth of content where you don't have to think about what you're posting. And you can also use a strategy with that as well. So for example, if you've got roles coming up in 2025, you know, we've got a couple of months left now of the year where you can start to create strategic content on LinkedIn using AI, which I'm going to show you in another couple of weeks, where you can create like a month's worth of content. And then once you've created a month's worth of content, you can start to repurpose that information as well. And there's some really cool hacks that I've learned in terms of creating content for LinkedIn on ChatGPT too. Sorry, I meant with a question to the proposed employer. Any question with a question to the proposed employer? I'm not too sure, Simon. If you want to book some time in my diary, are you looking for a role or? Yeah, if you're looking for a role, just book some time in my diary. I've got a link on my LinkedIn profile. So in terms of the next few weeks, we're going to layer it up in terms of advertising strategies. We'll have a look at advertising strategies next week so that we're not just relying on Indeed. I want to be able to give you a spider web of attraction so that you have multiple different ways of attracting candidates. And I'll also have a look at other things that we can intertwine in that as well. So we've got another 4 sessions. We'll have a look at advertising strategies and employer branding for next week. And then we'll layer up all of the other sessions. And if you do have any other questions, please let me know. I don't use TikTok, Simon, I'm afraid. Sorry. I'm quite limited with my range of social media. LinkedIn's my kind of place where I hang out, and Instagram as well. If you do have any questions, there's a 15-minute free Kickstarter button on my LinkedIn profile. I do have a power hour that you can book with me as well. I've got a 6 weeks transformational recruitment training program for SMEs that are looking to really take back control of recruitment. And then I'll be on with you guys next Thursday at 1 o'clock again. If you don't have time to kind of watch the whole thing, the replay will be up. But thank you so much for your engagement. Thank you so much for investing your time. And I really do hope that has helped with debunking some myths on AI.